Greetings from Quality Council of India. Udyog Manthan is first of its kind industrial brainstorming exercise, a marathon of webinars covering 45 sectors being organized from 4th January 2021 to 2nd March 2021. The webinars focus on quality and productivity in all major sectors of manufacturing and services. This collaborative exercise is an initiative of the DPIIT in association with QCI, NPC, BIS, Industry Chambers, Department of Commerce, and various other ministries. The aim is to fulfill Honorable Prime Minister's vision for an Atmanirbhar Bharat, driven by creating a mindset of quality and productivity in the Indian industry. Each webinar has a moderated panel discussion that lasts for about 2 hours and delves deep into issues related to quality and productivity in the specific sector. The panel is diverse and includes speakers from both small and large scale industries, experts, academics, etc. All the suggestions that come up in this 2-month long Udyog Manthan webinar series covering 45 sectors are being consolidated by Quality Council of India in a sectoral compendium of recommendations to be published in March 2021 for the government to consider in important policy changes if required and industry to act upon. I request our representative from the Line Ministry today, Department of Heavy Industry, Shri Amit Singh Sir, to kindly take over and say a few words.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. I am Anand Kumar Singh, Director from Department of Heavy Industry. So I will begin with a brief overview of Indian automotive industry. The automobile industry is one of the key drivers of the Indian economy. Currently, there is a presence of almost every global auto manufacturer in the country. All categories of vehicles like two-wheeler, three-wheeler, passenger cars, light commercial vehicles, trucks, buses, tractors, heavy commercial vehicles, etc. are produced in India. If we talk about manufacturing standing of India in different segments, largest manufacturer of two-wheeler and three-wheeler, fourth largest manufacturers of passenger cars, second largest manufacturer of buses, third largest heavy trucks manufacturer. If we talk about turnover and GDP contribution, so the turnover of auto sector is 119 billion US dollar, which comes about 8.2 lakh crore. It contributes 7.1% to GDP, 49% to manufacturing GDP. The Indian auto sector employs 3.7 crore people directly as well as indirectly. The export is about 27 billion US dollar, which is 8% of total export, and GST contribution is 1.5 lakh crore. The penetration of vehicles of different segments in India is low. Therefore, growth opportunity continues to be high. Number of vehicles per 1,000 person for different segment, it is 25 per 1,000 person for passenger vehicles, 143 per 1,000 for two-wheelers. And let me overview about the Indian auto component industry. Its turnover is 57 US dollar, which comes about 3.9 lakh crore. It accounts for 2.3 of GDP and 25% of manufacturing GDP. It creates about 50 lakh jobs. It's very cost competitive, globally renowned, and the major 62% of total export is to US and Europe. The auto industry is set to witness major changes in form electric vehicle, shared mobility, and safety norms. Electric vehicle represents a electric vehicle represents a rapidly growing global market. Battery pack prices have decreased from approximately 75,000 per kilowatt in 2010 to about rupees 13,000 Yeah, there is an echo in the voice. So I would request if somebody is has muted, uh, some some mic is still to be basically muted. There is a echo in the voice. Yeah, no, it's fine. The economics of electric vehicle electrification are improving significantly, improving energy density, expanding charging infrastructure networks, new business models, and financing structure and government policies are driving adoption. In India, electric vehicle sale increased from about 1.25 lakh in year 1718 to about 3 lakh in year 1920. Though it accounts market share of about 1 to 1.5% of now, it is expected to grow 40% by 2030. If we talk about quality ecosystem in India, we have automotive industry standards AIS for vehicle and automotive components, Bureau of Indian Standard certification for electric equipments, wireless planning and coordination certificate for wireless products, telecommunication engineering center certificate for telecommunicate and IT, BS6 fuel emission standards, and emission and waste generate limits implemented by various pollution control boards. The large firms in the industry also pursue multiple international standards pursuant to ISO, BIS, BSI, Global NCAP, CAFE standards, etc. Companies like Tata Motors with a footprint in 125 plus countries pursue multiple international accepted standards. Multiple regulatory measures have been put in place to facilitate ease of doing business and promote India as an attractive destination for manufacturing of automotive and auto components. Recently, with an aim to enhance India's manufacturing capacity and enhance export in automobile and automobile component sector, a production link incentive is announced, is approved. The outlay of the PLI scheme is 57,042 crore over a period of 5 years. The PLI scheme envisages making the Indian automotive industry more competitive and aims to create globalization of the Indian automotive sector. The scheme further emphasizes increasing sourcing from India, and there would be additional incentive for R&D. Similarly, to enhance India's manufacturing capacity and enhance export for manufacturing of advanced chemistry cell, a production linked incentive for manufacturing of advanced chemistry cell is approved. Is the introduction of PLI for ACC is approved. The PLI scheme for ACC battery invests to create large domestic and international players in stabilizing a competitive ACC battery setup in the country. It represents one of the largest economic opportunity of the 21st century for several global growth sectors such as consumer electronics, electric vehicle, and renewable energy. The outlay of the scheme is rupees 18,100 crore over a period of 5 years. The scheme envisages setting up of 50 gigawatt hour of cumulative ACC capacity and 5 gigawatt of niche ACC technology. Regarding electric vehicle, as we know, Department of Heavy Industry is steering a scheme called FAME India scheme, faster adoption of manufacturing of electric vehicles in India. It was announced in 2050, and first phase was from April 15 to March 2019, and now we are in the second phase, which comes from 1st April 2019, and it is for the 3 years with the outlay of the 10,000 crore. In the scheme, so far we have incentivized about 50,000 electric vehicles for total incentive of about 150 crore. In the scheme, about 100 models of 35 OEMs across all the vehicle segment like two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, etc. Are registered. Regarding electric buses, in FAME, we have sanctioned about 6265 electrical buses to various state transport undertakings, and out of these 6265 buses, supply order for about 2700 has been placed by these STUs, and about 75 electric vehicles under phase 2 have been deployed in Mumbai, and it is expected by this year end about 200 200 to 300 electric buses will be deployed. Under phase 1, about 425 electrical buses have been deployed across various cities. Regarding charging station, under phase 1, 520 charging stations were sanctioned, and out of these 520 charging stations, about 350 plus has been installed and presently operational. And in phase 2, 2,800 2,800 charging station has been sanctioned, and this installation and this procurement is under process. So this is about a overview of the auto sector from my side. Thank you.
Over to you, Kaveri.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us an excellent overview of the automobile sector and telling us about the government initiatives so far. We now go on to the panel discussion. We have a very diverse panel today with many high-profile speakers, including an international speaker from Malaysia, being moderated by Sivanation Sir, President, Quality Service and Parts, Ashok Leyland. Mr. Sivanation joined Ashok Leyland in 2011 and since then has set in place strong positive strategies that have brought about significant improvements in quality and sourcing and supply chain across the organization. He is the recipient of prestigious Quality Council of India's Quality Champion Gold Award, South Asia Quality Professional Award from American Society of Quality, Outstanding Quality Man Award from National Institution for Quality and Reliability. Thank you, sir. We are glad to have you over here. On the panel, we have P.K. Agarwal, sir, former Vice President, Corporate Quality from TAFE. He is a quality professional with more than 42 years of experience in the automotive industry. Next, we have S. Rajsekharan, sir, National President, NIQR, with 28 years of experience in manufacturing. We also have on the panel Dattacharya Nava Gundkar, sir, who is an Executive Director at C414 Labs and deals in smart manufacturing. He has a rich experience in strategy, marketing, and business development in a career that has spanned over 20 years. He brings in global wide market domain expertise in energy, automotive, and industrial automation. We also have, we request all participants to please keep their mics muted. Request all participants to keep their mics muted, please. We also have on the panel Mr. Muthu Maruchalam, Vice President, Supplier Management and Logistics at Daimler India Commercial Vehicles Private Limited. We have Jaideep Ondekar, sir, Head Key Accounts and Large Contracts, Product Manager, Mobility South Asia at Bureau Veritas. We have V. Sridhar, sir, who's Senior Director, Purchase at Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India. He has 20 plus years of experience at Honda Motorcycles as Head of Supply Chain and Procurement Function at HMSI. We also have Pozzi Hanipi, sir, who's an Associate Consultant at Gemba Solutions, and he's a former Executive Director of Toyota Motor Malaysia. Thank you, sirs. I now pass on the mic to our excellent moderator for taking this session forward. I request all participants again to keep their cameras off and mics muted to not interrupt the flow of the session. Thank you all.
Very good morning to all the participants. It's my pleasure to be with you all today in this interesting session. Topic for today's discussion is how do we improve the quality and productivity of Indian automotive industries and improve its global competitiveness with focus on Make in India and Make for the World. First, I appreciate the effort Ministry of Heavy Industries and Quality Council of India in engaging the Indian industries through this Udyog Manthan platform to develop a clear roadmap to realize Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. Today with us, as Kaveri explained, we have 7 experienced panelists who are champions of automotive industries, 6 of them from India and 1 from Malaysia. On behalf of all the participants, I welcome all the panel members. Welcome, sirs. I hope we will have a very, very engaging discussions today. Let's set the context and set the ball rolling. Mr. Amit Singh, Director of Heavy Industries, really put the perspective in place. He talked about India being the 4th largest automobile manufacturer, being the number 1 in two-wheeler and tractor manufacturing, number 2 in bus, number 3 in heavy industries, and number 4 in passenger car industries. He talked about the contribution of automotive industries to the overall GDP of India. Now, currently, if you look at it from where we started 2 decades back, we have come a long way, and automotive industry has become a very strong pillar of economy of India as of today. But today, to realize our vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and become a 5 trillion economy automotive, then if we have to achieve 5 trillion economy GDP, automotive sector has to play a much bigger role than what we are playing today. To make Prime Minister's vision come true, automotive sector's contribution in GDP has to go from 7.1% to 12%. And Mr. Amit talked about 118 billion US dollar contribution. It has to go to $300 billion in 5 years. That's the reason the government of India has really realized this is a sector which is going to drive the growth of India and the Indian economy. So they have announced this automotive sector as a priority sector and allocated 57,000 crore for next 5 years as a production linked incentive. More we produce, we get more incentive. More we export, we get even more incentive. Well, these are all good. While the manufacturing has been good, numbers are looking better, there are a lot of weak linkages. See, until unless we realize our weak linkages and work on addressing them, the growth is not going to come. I'll list down few of them where we can debate and discuss and come up with ideas so that we can all implement together, and also we can take the help of Government of India. First one is the image of brand India. That's where we need to really work on. Today, if we need to look at the exponential growth we are looking for, we need to really build on brand India image, which will be focused on quality and productivity of that. Currently, we are not in a very well, we are 4th in manufacturing. We are far beyond 10th rank in terms of our brand India image. Second, if you look at our R&D and innovations, we are not leaders. We always follow. You take example of any recent development, emission norms or electric vehicle. There, somebody emerges as leader and we keep following and try to follow that route and productionize that one. So this game has to change. We need to lead. We need to be the first mover. We need to take the advantage of first mover. And third element, we need to be self-reliant on our this thing. Look at today, Indian automotive industry is struggling for production while the demand is high because of semiconductor shortage. So we need to look at all component industries, all the ingredients, raw material. We need to continuously work on improving our supply chain and the availability of parts for this thing. Then in terms of quality image, fit and finish, reliability, we need to really work on that to catch up with international players. While we are exporting nearly 8% of our this products, most of them goes to underdeveloped countries. Of course, there are exceptions. Passenger car and two-wheelers are doing better, but all sectors need to do this one. So today's topic, what I would like is that let's discuss about all these challenges, starting from design, innovation, manufacturing, then sourcing and supplier quality, logistics, and service quality, customer care, and productivity. Apart from that, for all this, the foundation is the quality system and the quality culture, the mindset what we have about quality is what is going to make a big difference in making rapid progress. We need to get away from the Chaltai mindset and allowing deviations in a very large scale. While we can take engineering calls, we need to be a lot more cautious on what we take on this one. So to become the world leader and make in India and make for the world, and to ensure that we really become Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need to work on these areas. So let's discuss one by one. Luckily for us, today the panelists are veterans in automobile industries who have spent their life in Indian automobile industry. So let me first start with design, validation, and innovation. We have the expert, Mr. V. Sridhar, is a senior director of Honda, wherein they are known for their technology, innovation, and he has been there. His earlier background has been in Maruti. We have been associated for a very, very long time. So, Mr. Sridhar, I have 3 questions for you. You can add more. Let's start with terms of developing technologies and also product design. While we are now for in vehicle production, we always follow other countries in terms of new technology launch. And then second is always the product launches delayed and delayed. We keep asking for postponement. Third, when we launch, the launch quality always is initially Indian customer thinks, let me not buy for first 6 months, let the product mature and then I will buy. This shows that our validation is one area of this thing. So for all this, the foundation is creating a culture of innovation. What do you think we should we are doing today rightly, and what we need to do in the long term to achieve that 5-year goal?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, respected Mr. Shivnesan, fellow panelists, and everyone present here today. It's been today's webinar topic is really interesting and absorbing, and it's the need of the hour. So before I come to the moderator's questions, so let me give a general overview, and then maybe I will try to answer to the best extent possible whatever Mr. Shivnesan has asked. So I am from Honda Motorcycle Scooters India, and today's topic actually reminds me of the famous words of Mr. Soichiro Honda, who says that his words on quality. He says that when human beings aim for 100%, they will always miss by at least 1%. And if a customer buys one of our products that falls short by 1%, it will mean that Honda has sold a product that is 100% effective. So to eliminate this possibility of missing this 1%, we should aim for 120% quality. So that's these are the words of our founder, and his words have always been true in today's fast-changing and competitive scenario in all domains of industry. Over the years, actually, Indian automotive industry has come of age And I would not like to repeat, is the same that we are contributing, the automotive industry contributes to nearly 7.1% of the GDP and nearly 49% of the manufacturing GDP. And today's focus would be more for me from the two-wheeler perspective, because two-wheelers nearly contribute to more than 80% of the total volume of the Indian auto industry. And of course, India is the largest producer of two-wheelers in the world. Compared, we have actually far outstripped Indonesia and other countries like China 2 years back. And in the last 10 years, while the production of two-wheelers in India has nearly trebled, the production of passenger vehicles has doubled, making India one of the most sought-after automotive markets in the world. Now, first of all, I'd like to talk about the regulation side. Basically, India moved from BS4 to BS6 in 3 years' time, while the same regulation by Europe, it took 15 years to go from Euro 3 to Euro 5 regulations. Now, BS6 and Euro 5 regulations are one and the same. And for this, really, I would like to thank the Government of India, Ministry of Petroleum, automotive OEMs, auto component manufacturers, members of automotive industry, for implementing a regulation which is very strict. And in fact, two-wheelers, Indian two-wheelers are one of the most fuel-efficient two-wheelers in the world, you can say. However, in view of rapidly changing conditions, we have witnessed a slowing of growth in recent times. The recent pandemic has actually caused intense pressure to the industry. And starting with the technological paradigm shift from BS4 to BS6, safety and environmental countermeasures caused a substantial drop in the market demand due to increase in prices. And this was also one of the reasons why one set of customers postponed their purchases till BS6 product arrived, and others deciding against to buy the increased cost. Now, the situation actually got worse in view of COVID-19 pandemic. And as total business activity has not only affected the supply chain management in all the spheres of industry, but also put brakes on buying in view of the low customer sentiment due to lesser inflow of individual income. Now, let me come to this core topic of productivity and quality. We always believe that productivity is not exclusive of quality. In fact, productivity is the quality of output, which can only create quantity in the long run. Same way, if you put it the other way, quality is one of the biggest inputs for productivity. So in my opinion, in today's time of uncertainties and challenges, it's the time to revisit our existing norms and ways of doing things and make our constitution robust and eliminate all wastages and avoidable expenses. The most important thing, like what Mr. Shivnesan said, we need to change the mindset of our people to constantly look out for places where processes get deviated, and also at the design stage, wherein initial cost plays a very important role many times in deciding as to what specifications we would be fixing. Now, the most important thing is we need to encourage out-of-box ideas, as the approach adopted this time will make us highly competitive. And as volumes improve and environment becomes more favorable, in fact, things will become better. But the most important thing is to realize this on our shop floors. We need to have a perfect balance between productivity and quality by being receptive to new technologies and methods. Now, we take a holistic approach in Honda towards the quality of product, which is indispensable towards achieving the highest customer satisfaction. So all aspects, whether it is design, development, production, service, and also after service, till the end of life, we make our products of good value. So just to cite, to start with, we'll talk about the design aspect. As far as design is concerned, some of the considerations which we keep in design are the complete life cycle of the product or the part is seen at the time of designing. And this is extremely important because we need to take the total cost of ownership, wherein which includes not only the initial cost, but also the serviceability and the maintainability and also the manufacturability of the part. Also, we need to consider certain country-specific usage conditions. For example, Indian roads, many of the Indian roads, especially in the rural areas, are having potholes. And also, there is no standard for speed breakers in our country. So the height of speed breakers uh, varies in different places. So when we design, it's really important that we need to consider country-specific conditions at the time of designing the product. Also, we need to consider the overall loss which comes to the environment and at the time of initial design itself. Now, these are some of the this one considerations which we need to keep. But some of the important things which we would also see is we would like to see the standardization of parts across platforms. So we would like to, in fact, keep a common platform, and based on the commonality of platform, standardize the parts so that the production becomes easy, as well as quality can be maintained in the long run. So keeping standard parts and having standard modules, this helps us actually during new product development timing, so that timing is also less and cost of development is also less. Typically, if you have to devise a motorcycle or a scooter, it varies from 18 months to 24 months. Now it depends upon the way we would like to keep the flow, whether it is a major model change or uh, uh, relatively a smaller model change. So based on this, normally what we do is we try to commonize the platforms as much as possible. Of course, keeping customers' requirements in mind. In fact, we do an extensive survey of the customers as to what are the requirements, what problems they're facing today, and how are the existing products in the market addressing this. And based on that, what is it that the customer feels there is a gap between the expectations versus what is available today. Now, after this, the most important step is there is a very important point which we call as validation. And validation involves many things. Validation involves what we do is computer simulation, which we do. And also there is, in this computer simulation, we check at the component level, at a sub-assembly level, and at a complete vehicle level. So these are some of the things which we see at the time of validation. And also, apart from the computer simulation, once we develop the parts, we also go through something called a bench simulation. And the bench simulation actually helps us to find out the real problems, what happens because two-wheeler, in fact, most of the parts are small. And because the parts are small, the tolerances are also very tight. And since the tolerances are very tight, it's very important that we need high precision machines and high precision inspection equipment also to measure them. So we also do other type of simulations like we use CAE software and also CATIA software. And once the parts are developed, once they are fitted in the vehicle, we make a vehicle, and then we have a big endurance, which we call as a test track endurance, which we do. That is, ride the vehicles on the test tracks for different kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and so on. Maybe a few cycles even to the end of life. So these are the extensive tests which are done, and the data or the feedback which comes from these tests is then actually reflected into the design, so that we give the best design to the customers. There is also other thing which we take input from sales and service in terms of design parameters validation based on what customers, what peculiar problems sometimes customers face in the market. The next step is what we call as problem resolution as well as revalidation of designs. And this is a very important step. Many times what happens is this is actually getting missed out. But what we do is at Honda, we take up this we take up this revalidation through different tests, which we do in our test track as well as in the endurance. Now, these quality parameters are also validated once a new product is developed. We have various events which come. We have a proto event and then followed by a proto production event, then maybe 1, 2, 3 events and so on, wherein we actually try to try to find out as many problems as possible so that we are able to give the best quality to the customer. Now, moving from this, the most important aspect is we need to focus on the manufacturability of the design, because many times what happens is the design is only from the designer's perspective, but we also need to see the manufacturing perspective. Ease of manufacturing is extremely important. And it is also important that at this stage, if it is possible for us to incorporate in the drawing relating to how we can foolproof things so that mistakes will not be made in the lines during production, this will be very useful. So this is another aspect which we really see at the time of design. And also, we have surveys which happen after the product is launched. We have a 1-month quality survey, a 3-month, a 6-month quality survey, wherein we take feedback from customers and validate whatever we initially planned in the design, whether it is really useful or whether the customer is happy with that, or there are improvements or we have fallen short somewhere. So these are some of the things as far as design is concerned is we are doing. However, apart from this, I would like to talk about something about, just I would like to take 1 more minute and then afterwards we finish. So as far as quality is concerned, there are various things which we would like to say. Productivity actually can be improved also by commonizing processes. Not only, so we have 4 factories. All factories have come in different points of time from 2001 to 2016. So what we have done is at this stage, we have commonized the processes in all the factories to the extent we have commonized the machines also and commonized the people also in terms of inspections and everything. So this way we can actually get very high productivity levels. Of course, automation is one, but cost of automation and return on investment of automation always plays in the mind. But automation is actually very good in the long run. So these are some of the thoughts which I thought I would share today. As far as suggestions for improving, what can government do? We can think of one aspect which is really important. Why not we have like we have got manufacturing centers of excellence. It would be nice if we can have quality centers of excellence, which promote quality, which can take the best practices in the various companies and actually horizontally deploy, give information so that companies can learn from others and improve themselves, so that India can become a very good export hub for the world. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Sridhar. Very enlightening speech and a lot of points to pick up from teaching design to developing center of excellence for quality. And 1% defective is 1% of the customers become 100% unhappy. So very interesting perspective. So that's what matters in manufacturing. So how do we make sure that 1% defective is not there? Now, what kind of a process design, what kind of controls we have, especially in India, you have in developed countries, a lot of automation is there. In India, you have mix of automation and manual processes. So also we have a lot of temporary workmen, so lack of skill and also limited foolproofing, lack of focus on manufacturability in design, many industries. So to answer all of them and give suggestion, I can call none other than Mr. P.K. Agarwal, who has gone through the entire value chain of manufacturing and head the manufacturing quality for a long time. And also he has been very passionate about implementing KQM practices in the shop floor. Over to you, Mr. Agarwal. We look forward to your views on this.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shivnesan. Good morning, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I think our previous speakers, including Mr. A.K. Singh, they have touched upon a lot of things which give a feel how our country is going. I'd like to just add upon one more thing as a quality professional. If we look at the brand image of India today, the most important thing which we look at from quality is Deming prize. Deming is very prestigious prize which has been there for long. If we look at last 2 decades, that is from year 2000, India is on the top for winning the Deming prizes with 32 organizations which have been awarded with this, and we are followed by Japan and Thailand. This gives a image. I'm not boasting about that. We have to go a long way, but these kind of prestigious prizes give us a brand image. And our exports are growing. I will not touch upon that. My previous speakers have already covered how this has happened, whether it is a damning or growing exports and whatever is there. There has been a focus on continual improvement, which has paid us the results. Institutions like CII, Quality Council of India, ACMA, NIQR, ISQ, QCFI, and many more others, they have helped in driving quality improvements across the automotive industry, whether it is the automobile manufacturer or an ancillary unit. During last 4 decades, we have seen major improvements in our manufacturing. Emphasis has changed over to built-in quality or build quality, which has strengthened. Some of the initiatives which are picking up, which have become much more stronger, partially touched by my friend Mr. Sridhar, that process FME approach that has helped a lot. And until unless we link our process of FMEA with the design FMEA, both have to work together so that the built-in quality can go up. A lot of pokayokes or foolproofings have been built in our processes. I'm seeing in our OEMs, this thing is picking up. And the most important thing, which Mr. Shivanesan also mentioned, we have achieved in India, in our Indian industry, by using low-cost automation, which is a strength of our country. We are not spending too much on pokayokes. Some of the pokayokes we build by design of the product, some of the process by the process FMEAs. The new things which have added up over last 2 decades are real-time quality feedback and action systems like the quality gates, helping the processes, digitally connecting the suppliers, whatever they measure at their end is visible, it is available with the lot. So this reduces the wasteful activity which we have to do in terms of the inward inspection at an OEM level. If we want to improve quality and productivity together, we need to improve the culture of right the first time. At every stage, whether it is design, we have the 5 pillars of quality: design quality, manufacturing quality, supplier quality, product quality, and service quality. All these pillars will become strong if each one of us focuses on right first time. This will automatically help in improving our quality and productivity by reduction in our rework, which is a wasteful activity. This will also help in reducing the cost of poor quality. Friends, there is a fact that strength of a chain is measured by its weakest link. I would like to focus only address 2 things over here in this session. One is people, another is our partners. Let's take people first. We need to systematically work toward improving not only the skill, but the will of the people also. Until unless we work on skill and will together, this cannot happen. Today, there is a good focus on training the people, continuous training the people. There is something big done on behavioral skills. But until unless we strike a balance between skill and will, we will not be able to achieve the major things. Another thing which is gripping our industry, automotive industry or any other industry, manufacturing industry per se, is temporary manpower. So for that, what we have to do is we have to strengthen our training system so that temporary people, the problem is they change very fast. New people will come, we have to train them. So we have to use the available technology like AR and VR for reducing the time for on-job training. We have to make very user-friendly, very simple training programs so that we can put them on the job very fast, and we can also adopt this for regular training of the people. Coming to partners, I have seen with Maruti coming in early 80s, we have seen a large number of initiatives being taken to promote the quality of our suppliers. Cluster approach that was there. But friends, now is the time when we have to focus more on tier 2 and tier 3 level suppliers. Though a lot of initiatives are visible, but we have to go a long way. We also need to focus quality of the raw material suppliers, heat treatment, surface treatment, and other special processes, sources, who are very, very crucial to impact or influence the quality of our manufacturing. Then there are many other initiatives which have been started, but I would like to specifically mention over here Z, the Zero Defect, Zero Effect initiative, which is very, very important. It has to be taken seriously. And I believe QCI is coming out with the improved model, simplified model of Z, which will give not only impact in improving the quality and productivity, it will also help in keeping our ozone layer intact for our sustainable growth. It's the time to push this program across the country. I would also like to specifically mention about National Accreditation Board for Laboratories, NABL, which has helped in improving substantially the quality of calibration labs. But the question over here is how these efforts by the labs or efforts by NABL can help our industry. What I find is whenever I visit the suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, you forget even the tier 1 suppliers, very few of them, they actually focus on calibration. They feel in, we have got the item calibrated, they say it is calibrated. They don't look at the calibration results. There is no seriousness about understanding what is the importance of calibration. People want to put everything on record and they forget. So I think there is a need to drive some special programs to educate the actual users of the calibration results. Calibrated instruments are the key or backbone of any manufacturing industry. So this is one area. So while we need to promote the wider uses of the best practices, we also need to bring down the cost of implementing digital practices. Today we are all talking of industry 4.0. We are ourselves driving the quality for industry programs. I have got one suggestion over here that while we are trying, today we see in any automobile industry or many companies are training their people, running the programs on Six Sigma. Why this should be required when a person starts working in the company? Why can't we prepare our engineers and other students before even they enter the industry? So my suggestion is to catch them young. There is a lot of efforts which are being put by many institutions like NIQR, QCI, by driving some programs in the colleges. Why can't we promote quality culture right from the colleges? Not only colleges only, we can start with the schools, the senior secondary classes. We can have some special programs to give exposure to quality. So my thinking is, while we work on catching them young, building quality at the roots of our country, our future generations, we should also focus on not only within the manufacturing industry, the support industry, whether it is IT, computers, commerce, finance, law, because they are all helping us in meeting all our targets. So we should also focus on them. So with this, I would like to just close my statement or close my talk by giving a statement that while quality and productivity needs to be focused, this can only happen if we bring the culture of right the first time. This is the only mantra which will help our country. We are going in right direction, but we have to speed up our initiatives. Thank you very much. Thank you to all.
Wonderful input, Agarwalji. In fact, I like the coining of skill and will. Obviously, everybody talks about skill. The will part is not as much focused as skill development. So will development is also a subject which is very, very intricate in nature. I think that's one big area. And another good input is that focusing on schools and colleges and incorporating the quality culture in the mind of the people at a very young stage is definitely going to bring the country to a much better level. I think that's one idea we can definitely put to the government of India. Superb idea. Let's now, while Agarwal talked about this as a OE manufacturer, I'm sure while component manufacturers have their own challenges, especially MSMEs and medium and small industries, they understand the subject. They have a lot of practical implementation challenges, and being a small industry and controlling their own tier 2 and tier 3 industries becomes even more challenging. And manpower is floating for them, so forum control, man machine method control becomes very, very difficult for them. But for the country to grow, if these areas do not get strengthened, the defect will continue to flow and ultimately final product will get affected. And that's going to be a real challenge. Now, we have an expert, Mr. Asher, who himself runs a medium scale industry, and also he is the president of NAQR, which runs many cluster programs for MSMEs. So, Asher sir, I would like to have your views on this. How can we help the smaller industries to make sure that the component industry gets strengthened in terms of quality and productivity? Asher, you have to unmute yourself.
Good morning, Mr. Shivan and the participants. I thank the ministry to give an opportunity to present the MSME side of the story. Mr. Singh touched upon the participation of automotive industry in the GDP, which is around 7%, and again around 4.5 crore people directly and indirectly giving the employment in the country. Out of this, nearly 60 to 70% of the GDP comes out of tier 2 and below. And similarly, the employment also is generated from tier 2 and below. So I thought, since most of my co-panelists are from OEM, so I took upon myself to represent the MSME contributions and the need for improvement in the MSME sector and their challenges. That's what I'm going to share here. And you will all agree with me, when the automotive industry started opening up in India in late 90s or in the early 90s, the MSME sector was robust to adapt to the technological changes, and that really made the success story in India, because they were able to bring a lot of the import substitution, can be converted from a local manufacturing point of view. And then they really stood up to the task, and which made the cost of the automotive industry competitive, and the growth was there. And right now we are the fourth biggest industry in the world. Similarly, if you see, I want to touch upon the cost, delivery, and quality side. Because, if you really, most of you from the OEM, when you talk to the tier 2 or below, you normally say these three things are non-negotiable: cost, delivery, and quality. But it is generally accepted by the MSME tier 2 and below. But there are a lot of challenges faced in these areas by the MSME companies. Mainly, if we go to cost. Today, after the COVID thing started, and it slowly started, reducing from October onwards, and the auto industry was one of the first to come back to normal terms. But really, what happened in October and November, the input cost started rising, which really created a big issue for the most of the tier 2 and below companies, particularly on steel and other raw material inputs started rising to the tune of 30%, and the raw material manufacturers are quite big for the tier 2 and below companies to handle them. And this really created a huge disruption, and which really created a negative cash flow among the tier 2 and below companies. Similarly, when come to delivery, this is not an issue related to pandemic, but generally exists in the MSME sector, particularly in auto industry. If you see the safety side, many of you would have faced a fire accident in one of the tier 2 or tier 3 companies, which really disrupted the production at the OEM level. So there is a very weak link in terms of safety among supply chain partners below tier 2. Tier 1 is mostly equipped on safety factors. I think there should be a lot of hand-holding from the OEMs and tier 1s to the supply chain below them, so that they strengthen it. Instead of merely conducting safety audits, there should be more of a hand-holding side where you really help them to achieve these safety standards. This really will make them not to disrupt the delivery at any level. And similarly, there is no extension of Essential Commodities Act. Across India, the Essential Commodities Act is applied in different states in a different ways. And for a while, Essential Commodities Act was in place for auto industry to protect disruptions in the supply chain. But again, it was taken away, and any kind of a disruption due to labor issues may definitely affect the delivery side for the OEMs. Again, when this happens, the entrepreneur or the company which is in the tier 2 and below will be left alone, and the supply chain will move on. A person who has invested his entire life will be left alone to manage these disruptions and face larger unions and other external factors. I think this is one of the areas where OEMs have to really focus, and also the government to come out with policies which does not allow the disruptions to create any kind of supply chain stoppages. And when come to quality, I think most of the tier 2 and below companies are now ready for the certification requirements and compliance related regulations. They are all well aware, and IATF 169 is mandatory for all the companies in the supply chain of auto. So they really adapt to it. But the major problem, as Mr. Agarwal pointed out, many of them do it mainly for the sake of doing it and for the sake of creating documentation. This need to be really strengthened at the MSME level, and the top management of MSMEs should really focus on these areas so that they really do the practice than creating a documentation side. From the OEM side, the quality of the tier 2 and below is left to tier 1 companies. The major problem faced by most of the MSMEs is multiple manuals from OEMs and multiple manuals from tier 1 companies. And there is no such infrastructure in tier 2 and below to manage these multiple manuals and create a quality system in place. So normally what they do, they keep on attending audits, try to satisfy the requirement of their customers, and they wait for the next audit to come. So there needs a comprehensive quality system in place. Either we should adopt IATF 16949 as a mandatory requirement, and every OEM and every tier 1 company follow the same, and the structure is made very clear to the tier 2 companies so that they focus and achieve the quality requirement without creating any disruptions due to quality. This is one of the areas what I wish to strengthen, and more, it should not be pushed on to the entrepreneurs of cost, delivery, and quality, but it should be more like a hand-holding exercise and making their life comfortable so that the automotive industry does not suffer any kind of disruptions due to these 3 parameters. The other area what I thought, today most of the OEMs are spending a lot of money on CSR activities, but there is a general saying, we should first take care of our own family, then our own friends, then go to the society. So the people who are in the supply chain, the tier 2 and below, they have a lot of resource constraints. So there should be a lot of spending on the training side. to see that these companies and the entire supply chain is well aware and well educated. What Mr. Agarwal touched upon, the skilling. I would prefer even the skilling side is to be pushed to the entrepreneurs. It's not to their employees, but still to the entrepreneur himself. The OEMs and tier ones have to focus on training these entrepreneurs and then their employees. Because Mr. Sivanesan also pointed out the forum. One of the major problems faced by the tier 2 company and below is about getting the skilled manpower. And most of these people don't have the brand image. So retention becomes a great difficulty for them. And the first aim violated is the man side. They normally don't violate on the method, machine, and material because these things are controlled by the OEM. So this is one area I thought definitely OEMs have to do a lot of handholding, and this will really improve upon. Then coming to the last point on my talk, the future of MSMEs in the transformation of IC to EV. In many of my meetings during the EV segments, I used to point out to the OEM involved in the car segment. Today, there is a lot of doubt in the minds of tier 2, tier 3, and so on, that whether there will be any scope for them to exist in the EV market. Because there is a general message going on. The motor is going to replace the engine, and many of the subsystems like brakes or the starter motors, wiper assemblies, all these things are either going to be eliminated or there are going to be a lot of changes which come in. So many of the MSME entrepreneurs feel there may not be any scope for them in the future in the EV segment. So I request the OEM organizations and the government to come out with clear policies and giving them a roadmap. Generally, if somebody has to invest in the MSME segment, he takes a loan for 5 years. Most of the MSME companies are funded through debt. They are not funded through equity. So they are worried next 5 years when they repay the loan, whether the investment will stand to gain anything or the investment will go dead. So I think this is one area where the handholding will really help and it will install the confidence in the MSME organizations to continue in auto industry. Right now, as far as I know, because I've kept my ears as the president of NIQR and I've met a lot of these MSME entrepreneurs over the last 1 year during the pandemic, the biggest worry was this: what is going to be the future for them? Is there any future for them in the car industry? So, or in the two-wheeler industry when it gets converted to EV in the next 5 to 10 years. So this area need to be addressed from this perspective so that they still continue to invest and continue to exist in the auto industry. Otherwise, this is going to create a huge disruption. Before the EV conversion comes, the MSME segment will move out of auto side. So this is what I want to share, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajshekhar. It's really eye-opening for many of us. The complexities of running an MSME and the sheer existence is being questioned. I think it has to have a separate panel discussion to list out all the issues and really come up with some action. Very interesting. And I think the QCA and ministry will take a note of it. And I think it needs a much more deeper discussion. So one thing is there, India is the digital world leader. All the even digital companies across the world are headed by Indians, Sundar Pichai, Nadella. So while we are so strong in that field, why are we not leveraging that strength to make sure our entire from design to manufacturing processes get strengthened by using all the digital tools? So smart factory with all the sensors and foolproofings so that the defect do not get generated. We can get away from temporary workmen. So better you make the system which reminds the people to do the job rightly. I think we have expert in our panel, Mr. Dattatreya. He's from C4I4. The C4I4 is one of the centers for Samarth Udyog program, which is smart and advanced manufacturing and rapid transformation hub, which is doing a very good job in terms of teaching the industries to get converted into smart industries. I think he is the right person to give us a perspective to us on how we can leverage this strength of India to take the manufacturing industries forward. Over to you, Dattatreya sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Shivnesan. Actually, fellow panel members, I also thank UCI for organizing this and inviting me. They thought I could add some value to this. I'll share my little bit of experience and exposure. And what Mr. Shivnesan said is very relevant, that best of the places in the world, Google and Microsoft, are led by Indians. And why we in manufacturing are not using digital technologies. And that is a question I actually am also trying to find an answer for. 2017, I had an opportunity to be in Hanover, where the first Industry 4 exhibition was held in Hanover. And I found one good part. All Industry 4 exhibition stalls, you will find at least 1, 2, 3 engineers or managers, software engineers, developers who are of Indian origin. But none of Indian companies had participated in that first exhibition. So that speaks a volume about our enthusiasm. So we create a lot of good skills who can work out strategies for some other countries. But we now need some answers for local manufacturing. And that is where this Savartha Udyog program started with granted aid from Department of Heavy Industries. And we have 4 such centers. And we are working with both large OEMs as well as mid-sized companies. Our aim is using digital transformation for making our Indian companies competitive, and that is where we are. As a center, we are developing 5 model factories where companies can visit and see themselves what digital transformation stands for. And these are all mid-sized companies, which problems that Rajshekhar talked about. So, companies can just look at, and these are very simple things. These are not very complex things. So that's one of the things. We are also developing some capable champions who can take the digital technology implementation. We think that a lot of training is happening, a lot of webinars and seminars are happening, a lot of events are happening, but we are not creating people with good capability. So we call it a digital champion who can internalize the whole development of digital technologies within the company, large or small. And third, we are developing a solid team of master trainers along with associations like Bangalore Chamber of Commerce, and QCI kind of things, so that the master trainers talk the same language across the country. We don't want, Industry 4 is a very vast topic, and every area need to be in a detailed manner understood well. What we felt was, for our own manufacturing industry, we need to have a common vocabulary, common understanding, and that's where we thought of developing a team of good master trainers. And that is how we are based out in Pune. Other 3 centers, one is in IIT Delhi, 2 are in Bangalore. So that's where we are doing our bit. So potentially from a digital transformation in manufacturing space is tremendous. Personally, I believe that data is there everywhere. It's in our ERPs, it's in our quality systems, it's in our attendance systems. It is just that data has a latency. We measure a product using a very high-end CMA machine. But ultimately, we convert that data into a logbook. Logbook gets converted into an Excel sheet, and then that Excel sheet goes to quality manager. So the process for measurement to actual insight there is a latency or a delay. And we, unfortunately, all manufacturing companies, we invest very heavily in equipments. But from a data standpoint, we still manage a lot of manual processes. And that's where logbooks is a common thing in our life. And that is where we are trying to see that if we can eliminate logbooks across a company, and why can't we look at that kind of a thing? And frankly, whether it's a production planning area, whether it's a quality measurement area, whether it's a delivery challan, whether it's even a people attending, coming into or walking into factory, just look at logbooks. And one way of making a factory smart, first step is how do I eliminate my logbook? And that is where one idea we look at. So second part is about, I talked about data latency. And data latency operates out of having a lot of manual interventions coming into it. Second part, of course, is how do I build insights into my data? And that is where, as I said, data exists. And how do I read that data? How do I understand, take meaning out of that? How do I respond to a customer complaint and quickly in a measurable fashion? So when we have a customer complaint coming into our factory, we have to do a root cause analysis, and root cause analysis need to be explained. We need to put in the PowerPoint say presentation, and then there is a lot of convincing happens. This is what happened. This is what, and then there is a argument and counter argument. We believe that a simple truth can be, if we have a more systematic approach for having this data, which is commonly understood by both supplier as well as customer, then probably we can work on. See, we all buy products on Amazon, and if we don't like it, or if it doesn't meet our expectations, we just reject it and refund it. We don't argue, or neither Amazon argues nor we are. So when there is a refund which gets paid. When it comes to manufacturing, there is a lot of segregation, there is a lot of challenges which keep on happening at the shop floor. Now, can we look at eliminating those unnecessary interactions? I call them very unnecessary interactions. So that is where this digital things can help. Third, when I look at is, we call it a term called MTTR CCD, mean time to respond to changing customer demand. So there's nothing different, but we felt that today a customer, his forecast changes, his demand changes, he has some sudden complaint issues, how quickly we can respond to it. And that is where all our digital efforts should get focused on. So look at customers' pain areas, how quickly I can respond to it. Today, we all in our personal life using mobile as well as a platforms where we are buying things. But when it comes to manufacturing, how do we quickly switch to those technologies? And that is the question. And if this team or this group can say that, okay, if I am buying or if I'm selling on or I'm interacting in a different way, can I change it with the digital tools? That is where one need to look at. And C4I4 has taken this process that we will, in a way, at least transform 5 factories across the country, which can be like a model factories for others to follow. So I'll just give you an example, and just 2-3 minutes I'll add, and then how things are simpler. Because one of the myths is that digital technologies are very expensive. And therefore, sorry?
The time management a little bit going out of control, could go a little faster. I would
yeah. So just last one example. Okay, so that's where all these digital technologies we can look at. And I think if MSMEs come forward, get into it, and large OEMs like Toyota and Honda, Tata Motors, Mahindra's, Ashok Leyland, Daimler, they support MSMEs to adopt this. And Rajshekharan made a point that we need to train, we need to handhold supply chain, and that is where the OEMs can really pitch in. As C4I4, we or any of our 3 centers, we will be happy to support these efforts. So that's all a bit from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the biggest transformation is going to come from this area, and you will be championing some part of that one. Very happy to hear that one. Maybe the idea of yours of developing digital champions is really a workable suggestion. Let's look at that together. Right, sir?
Thank you.
Right. Now, with all the improvements in the last 2 decades, manufacturing process improvements, foolproofing, and also digital, while it's not complete, but it has made progress in this area. One area where, so at the end of the line, probably the product which gets produced is of a very good level. But unfortunately, by the time it reaches the customer, the quality deterioration is pretty high in India, where whether it is handling, transportation, packaging, storage, it is really costing a lot of, and there is a lot of loss to the society when it gets rusted, when it gets rejected. If you look at the logistics cost per se and rejection due to logistics cost, I think India is one of the highest. Like it contributes so much to this final cost of the product that the addition of these non-value added rejections are very high on this one. So now we have Mr. Muthu, who has worked with Daimler. He's working with Daimler-Benz, which has been a state-of-the-art company with all the world-class exposures and experts in these areas. And I would request him to share his ideas on how these rejections can be eliminated. If not eliminated, at least minimized by focusing on this. One request is that let's adhere to the time because we are really running short of time. Muthu, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sivanesan. Just a sound check. Am I audible?
Yeah, absolutely clear.
Okay, thank you. Good. So, good afternoon, all, and a warm welcome from my side. And thank you for QCI for giving this opportunity. And I'm proud to share this platform with the fellow speakers. I will break my 10 minutes. I'm sure I'll keep my time, promise, my time into 2 portions. First, I will talk about the end-to-end transparency. I think we all know the supply chain is one of the backbone of any industry. But if we look back in the last 9 to 10 months, this is one of the most talked about topics due to the pandemic. It's not that new, but it created more trouble or more turbulent in the recent times. And one thing we all realized during this time is we lack transparency and we lack information. And we were really having those troubles early in the month of March when we started having this one. Just to give an example, when China started closing the borders in the early March or early February, we all started seeing the turbulence. And then we were running pillar to post to understand what is the impact for it. It really took some time for us to come to a clarity what could be the impact. I think this helped us in a way to understand and also create a transparency in end-to-end. So normally as OEMs, we tend to keep understanding till tier 1 and tier 1 goes to tier 2, but we took this opportunity, and it also helps overall to understand the complete value chain, as Mr. Rajasekhar said, till tier 4. There were some surprises. We also found a material from a tier 3 or a tier 4 is imported, which in a normal sense doesn't come to surface, or we never came to know. So the first one is to creating transparency and visibility towards the end-to-end, and more importantly is the trust. Also, when I say trust is sharing the information. I think that's very, very important, and it went very well in this tough times where we learned in a hard way, I would say. So we created a transparent and a trustworthy relationship with complete supply base from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier N, in understanding their value chain and understanding their pains. Now, what it helped is to make judgments or make decisions in more agile way. For example, a tier 4 is buying part from a particular source, and we know that source is having problems because of lockdown, because of this one. So we are able to understand immediately, one, and two, support or jump in with a quick decision with agility. So that's very, very important in terms of creating this end-to-end transparency, visibility, and trustworthy. Now, the second point in the same subject is using this opportunity. We also came to know that there are a lot of potential which is untapped. For example, Atmanirbhar or Make in India opportunity, which came through. So normally, when we talk about localizations or Make in India, we always look at the high value items and where we see a high business case, and we go for it. And when there are many items under the fold on the carpet which is getting unnoticed, and this exercise also surfaced out where we had an opportunity to further enhance our supply base in India, where we can localize, one, to use for our production in India, and two, creating an opportunity for that supply to also to export to other countries. So this is something which came up very good, I would say, and we would like to continue this one. And my request is also to other companies also to look into this one, to create a trust and a transparent visibility, so that one, we can overcome the problems, and two, we can also benefit out of this one. One request for the government or the industry bodies on this one is, there are certain commodities which doesn't make a business case or doesn't make potential when you look at independently resourcing or Make in India. I think there are some commodities which require big infrastructural investments, and when we come together, I think this makes much more simpler, much more easier. So only if, for example, Daimler looks at sourcing it, it doesn't make sense for the volume. But if we as a group come together and say, okay, can we identify one partner who can invest on this one, where all can put their bet on it, it makes a big difference. So that's something which we have to see how we can take upon. There are certain commodities like electronic or something where our cost structure is still not viable for us to localize when compared to countries like China or Taiwan. So that's one of the areas where we need to see going forward. Now, my second portion, which Mr. Sivanesan also touched upon, is on the logistics and corresponding losses we have in the productivity and quality. I think that is very well said, and this is something which is untapped or unnoticed to a larger extent. I'm not saying that we are closing the eyes, but to a larger extent, as an industry, we have a lot of potential and opportunities where we can significantly improve both on quality, cost, and productivity. Just to give an example, we talked about very high focus on product development. So India, any companies who are focusing on development, like Mrs. Sridhar mentioned, no, we have a very good testing cycle, we have a very good design development. So we spend a lot of time and effort on making sure the product is meeting all the customer expectation. Second, we also spend a lot of time on proving the processes. Every manufacturer has its own methods to make sure the process or the part is produced at a consistent quality to meet the customer expectation. What we don't spend equally or even half of it is about the packaging and logistics. And those issues got reflected in our day-to-day productions. I'm sure every manufacturer in the mass production scenario will have significant losses on a daily basis due to these issues. I can also quote some examples where we also have losses almost every day because of a minor handling issue or minor packaging issue or minor loss due to this one. Why it is getting unnoticed? These are small issues and we are used to it. I think that's a mindset of it. Okay, there's a small damage, just touch up and clear it. So it is not something which is hurting us, and it is not something which we are able to create a more aware. So this is one of the areas where we also now started focusing more. It's not that we are not focusing more, but we were focusing more on packaging. But if you break the packaging and logistics into different elements, I can break into 8 to 9 elements, starting from investments, handling, repackaging. So that's one of the biggest area. Most of the passenger cars have already gone to 100% recycling, two-way packaging, whereas in our industry, commercial vehicle, we are just going to around 80 to 90% now, and still a long way to go. So what does mean? When we get in one-way packaging, we have to repack it. That's a MUDA. And second, these packaging materials are not disposable is a challenge. So these are the areas where we do it. Then we talk about utilization of space, and more importantly, the maintenance and administration. And there, I will look at Mr. Dattacharya, who also talked about digitalization. So lot of activities happen behind this ones. How we are talking about hundreds and thousands of returnable trolleys going back. And one of the very, very high potential area where we felt digitalization is going to help in terms of real-time tracking. We in Daimler India is now doing it one. So we are tracking, we are trying to put in systems in place to track the returnable for all the trolleys. So any point of time, we know where the trolley is, both from the inside way and outside way, so that we can lose a significant effort in tracking those trolleys manually. Now we are trying to bring it to digitalization. So this is one of the big areas where we see a huge potential, both in terms of quality and productivity and cost. And there, three important points and takeaways, I would say. One is equal focus at the early stage of the development, so that we can design and execute the packaging and the quality standards of transportation in a way that it is not having any impact. That's one. Second one is continuously focus on improving the utilization of the space and the packaging. And third one is use modern digital technologies to improve the process more efficiently and reduce the effort. So these are the three areas which we are focusing, and I'm sure all of you are focusing it. And this is very, very important for us to move forward. So looking at the time, I will cut short my speech now. And if there is any questions, I'll be happy to answer later in the day. Thank you, Mr. Sivanesan, and over to you.
Thank you, Muthu, for right on time. Very good inputs. Especially, I believe that packaging and logistics should be a full-fledged course, and it should be a specialized. We ignore, but I think that a lot of money is there in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we come to the stage where we produce, transport, and then finally it's ready for handing over to the customers. So when we hand over the product to the customer, like especially in India, only we focus on the puja. How do we hand over celebrations? But what is the product? What are the features? What are the do's and don'ts? I think that focus is very less. So ultimately what happens is when the customer starts using it, many of the features inbuilt painstakingly are not known to him. Sometimes he does things incorrectly and it creates quality issues on this one. So this is one area. Second is after he starts using it, when he has problem, when he goes to what first of all, workshop takes its own time to understand what he is trying to tell. They have their own perception of what the problem is, and they try to fix on their own way and create secondary defects. So I feel this is one area where the delivery quality and aftermarket quality is one area which can be a very big differentiator for Indian market, which can help improving our customer satisfaction, which will improve our business not only in India and internationally. So for this, we have an international expert, Mr. Pauzi, who has worked with Toyota Malaysia, and he has a very vast experience. Let's hear from him. What are his ideas of how this can be done in a very sustainable way? Over to you, Mr. Pauzi.
Okay, thank you, because Mr. Siva. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to the OCI for giving me the opportunity. This is a great opportunity, and able to meet all Indian automotive players in this program. I think it was a great pleasure for me to share with you some of the experience that I've gone through when we are trying to improve productivity and quality, focusing on the customer satisfaction and the customer's needs for the sales and also after sales related situation. But before I go in details, let me share with you some background of the Malaysian automotive. Malaysia ranked the third position in ASEAN for the before after Thailand and Indonesia. In Malaysia, we have 28 vehicles manufacturers or assemblers in Malaysia, or for many kinds of the brand, from the higher level brands to the lower level brands. We have 650 local parts component manufacturing. Even some of the parts we have to import from other countries, especially Japan or China. 63,000 after sales and sales business companies or the dealers around throughout the Malaysias, owned by some of it owned by the brand itself. If Toyota, they own the dealers. If Honda, they are private sectors dealers. While in Malaysia, there are two type of the car manufacturers or the supply production, that is non-national car and also the national car. These are two different situations not happening in other countries, where the national car is Proton and Produa, while other non-national cars include Toyota, Honda, and sort of things. And the biggest component of cars sold in Malaysia is a passenger car. Considering in ASEAN, we are number one for the passenger car top sales compared to others. With a total production per year is roughly around 500,000 units of the cars. With this gift, the total workforce in automotive sector around 750,000 workforce working from the primary sector to the support section sector, I mean parts and tool supplies, to manufacturing, and finally sales and after sales. That is almost 750,000, 750,000 working in the auto industries in Malaysia. Well, when we talk about the auto industries, definitely everybody is aiming to give the best services, the best products to all the customers. When we produce the car, it makes sure that the parts of the car have been confirmed quality part of it, and make sure that there is no reject or no failure of the parts when the car is manufactured. And the same thing also when the car is out of the factory, going to the customers, delivered to the customers. Definitely the customer don't want defect cars or any small defect cars happen to them. In fact, that is the most important things that happen to the customers. As the customers grows up, numbers grows up of the customers from time to time, the demand of the customers and the exposure of the customers to the media social about the automotive industries in India, in Europe, in US, with global thinking of the customers, the higher the demand of the customers requesting for better quality services in this situation. So it goes through into of my experience when we are at that time increasing the volume of sales from one year to another year, starting from the year of 2006. The growth of our at that time, as I work in Toyota, the number of sales keep increasing every year. Even there is a very high challenge from the national car, Proton and also Paradua, but the customers keep demanding because they are talking about the branding of the car, where it comes from. Also, at that time, there is no other way, is on a normal ways of handling the customers. So at that time, we didn't realize the most important thing is the customers. But the management after that realized that we need to do some strategy to ensure that customers are very, very happy in these matters. So we started with what we call from 2007, 2008 at that time, talking about delighting customers' wants, where the customers is very fragile because the number of complaints of the customers at that time going up abruptly, talking about not only the brand of Toyota, but all kind of brands that have been given to the customers. The customers have a very high complaint about that situation. And the complaint is not only into a media social. At that time, the media social is not so effective, but the complaints of customers go straight to the headquarters of the owners of the company. If the Honda, it goes direct to headquarters of Honda in Japan. Same thing also Toyota, it goes directly to the, and it will become a global issues about the customers' dissatisfaction. Because in this situation, the customers, we never perceive the customers' needs at that time very clearly. But after that, we start doing the research, looking from the angles, and using the what we call the some of the indicators from the research have been done. We found that what should we do in this situation to ensure is there are three factors that we have to focus at that time. Number one factors are the people itself. I mean, the people who handle the people. That means our people, or the service dealer people, or the salesmen, or the people in the service center handling the customers, whether they are handling the customers according to the customer's needs and the customer's wants or not. And we start looking at what are the customer's needs and the customer's want when they come to the service center or to the dealers. Number one, the customers definitely, customers want, when they come to the service center, they want to have some positive experience when they come to the service center, and they want the things to be done. Because if the customers is not happy, the customers will talk everything to others, and this cause the brand image of that model will be dropped. So as the thing, we concentrate on at that time what we call as a launching of the customers first philosophy based on three factors. Number one is people itself, as I said. And number two, we focus on the facilities upgrading. Number three, and introduction of proper standard operating procedures at work. In this case, when the customers come to the center to repair, normally what happens is, as you said just now, say for example during the delivery of a new car, the expectation of the customers, definitely they are very happy to get the car, but it's only with the puja or whatever we do. Sometimes the customer sometimes forget about the situation of the car. So in this case, the salesperson are being trained or being educated and being given a standard operating procedures to ensure to learn about first the customer's want and the need. That is very important, because the salesman only thinks that the customer want to buy the car without any experience. I sell the car, you buy the car, then after that I deliver your car, thank you very much, that's all. That's not talking about if the customers have to come for the service of the company. It's sharing the result of the new technology of the car in the car. Never shared about the insurance policy. Never shared about the schedule of maintenance. Never shared about where they can maintain. Never shared about the warranty levels and what are being warranted or not. All these kind of the criteria that should be part of the customer's knowledge is not given as needed by the salesman or the one who delivered the car, who have action. So the customers have no experience. Not only the experience that they get the car, they are happy to get the car. But after that, when they go back, they want to come back for the servicing part of it. They have a problem, or they go back and drive the car having a problem, they start creating a lot of problem, or they start become unnecessary, to become more emotional to meet our side situation. So these are the situation that happened. So we realize that we have to tackle the people who handle the people, or the people who handle the customers in the sales in the sales center and the after sales center. The most important focus is to make the people happy in the after sales, because after 1,000 kilometers, immediately the car will come for maintenance already, or the servicing already. Not even sometimes they drive for 3 days or 1 week, the car have to come already. And this another new experience that they will face in that situation. At that time, what we service is we just service for you the car without any additional values that we are doing. That's why the customers, when they came in with a problem, when they are not be attended properly, the customers definitely will not very, very happy. The satisfaction of those customers, because they expected that the car to be repaired on time. That is the expectation of the customers. The car to be repaired correctly if the car is having a problem. The car to be diagnosed correctly. The car to be delivered on time with clean, with neat, or with all no changes to the car. Even the seat of the car cannot be changed according to our people in the seat. The adjustment of the seat have to go back to the origin of the customers at that time they are sitting with comfort, because if the tall guy is going in but the customer own the car is a short or not a medium sized person.
Yes, man. Yes, man. All this.
Yes. So in this case,
वो नहीं चाहिए मेरे को, पन्नी नहीं चाहिए.
Request the participants, request the participant to mute before speaking.
Okay. Can I continue?
Yes, Mr. Poshi, please look at manage the time quickly.
I still have. So in this case, when we introduce that, we have to remember that in the service center, everybody has to attend to the customers. So what we call it a customer-centric thinking philosophy from every angle of our people in the service center, where what we call it from the security guard, from the front as the customer approach the dealers or the center of service, to the receptionist, to the service advisor, and handling the car by the technician, by the QC, by the part suppliers. Every single person in the organization have to know their what are the purpose, or have to know their roles and the function that related to the customer satisfaction. Say, for example, talking about the customers who handle the customer who came. When the customer arrived, what he should do, what should he attend? And the customer said, that is a problem to the car. He should be attentive to the customer and able to call maybe the specialist to come in and talk about the cars that the customer is complaining. Besides that, sometimes the customer don't want to go back or just replace the car. They want to stay at the dealers and they do nothing at the dealers. So we are thinking that what should to make them happy beside all the people who are handling the customers, because one car will be handled by 8 people at least in the company, in that service center. Who are they? The service guard, the receptionist, the service advisor, the technician, the QC people, the parts people, and the cleaners of the car. And finally, the delivery time, the one who gives the invoicing or the payment bill for the customers. 8 people directly involved. Sometimes we forget about this. We thought that customers want to come and finally did all these things, right?
Mr. Posi, we are completely running out of time. Can you just conclude?
The second factor is when the growth of the numbers of the car sales there is no lack of capacity. Lagging of capacity make the customers wait too long. Customer never want to wait too long. They want, as you promised, a delivery as promised, or there's time. We cannot give the excuse of, so sorry, we have no place. We so sorry, we have no technician. So sorry, they cannot take this kind of explanation or excuse for them as a customers. So what we do, expanding the 5S or the 3S or the 2S center with the parts facilities inside that. And the supply of the parts have to be done through a milk run to ensure that the parts goes to the branch what for the repair of the car or the service of car arrive on time. At the same time also, we introduce for the first and second what we call second service customer, what we call the express maintenance activities. Number three, the things is when we talk about this to ensure that the introduction of proper SOP at works. Currently, after improving from years to years introduction, now we are introducing what we call 13 winning approach to delight the customers. From the excellence of phone number, from the how excellence they deal with the phone, with the customers. Then after that, with the sales appointment, courtesy of the security situation, efficient during the production, invoicing and delivery, and finally the post-service follow-up. With this, definitely we are able to that. So how we benchmark the situation, whether customers happy or not, how we look at the analysis. Number one, what the Malaysian Automotive looking at is from the research center that is from JD Power results. From the JD Power result, everybody start to improve because the JD Power result we share, oh, your company customer not happy because facilities is not good. Your company customers not happy because the reception is not good. Your company, these are the results that been given by JD Power with 13 ideas or the information in the JD Power. They put as a benchmarking numbers, and at the same time, it gives the good guidance for all the automotive industries in Malaysia to follow that situation. That's why if you see, not every year Toyota become the leader of CSR or customer service index.
Mr. Pusi, we have just gone completely run out of time. Can you just conclude in next 10 seconds?
As a conclusion, right? It is very important, this Kaizen or continuous improvement as a key element for us to practice for the customers first. Number two, as a customer-centric mindset and Kaizen culture will definitely improve, enhance our processes towards a remarkable and amazing customer services. Thus, reinforce the strength of Toyota brand in Malaysia and also other branded companies. So it not only Toyota, but everybody have the same way of doing it and make the customers increase happiness from time to time with that kind of competition in the selling of the cars and also the servicing of the cars. I think that's the first time that I think I can share. I know there is a lot of things that can be shared more with you, but these are the things that some of the insight that we have. Maybe from the micro level, I look at it, not from the bigger scope of the level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pousi, for a very, very insightful information focusing on people, facilities, and standard operating procedure. Thank you very much. We take the input. Now, we have discussed from design to manufacturing to logistics to service quality. But foundation for all this we discussed is about the mindset and the culture of quality and the systems to be put in place. So quality system and the quality culture plays a very, very major role on this one. Now we have Mr. Jaydeep, who is from Bureau Veritas. He's an expert in this field, so we would like to have his views on this. Jaydeep, I know we put pressure on you on the time. Please stick to the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Mr. Sivanesan. Thanks to QCI. And thanks to all the panelists, co-panelists for sharing their very important views on how to improve the quality for the automotive industry. See, undoubtedly, automotive industry is the largest industrial sector globally. Now, but it is also very complex in a way that it is undergoing continuous expansion and innovation. Now, when it is undergoing the continuous expansion and innovation, at the same time, there is an extreme cost and time pressure. So at one place, we have a situation like there are continuous changes, but then at this, on the other hand, we have the pressures on the cost and time. So how do we balance this? How do we balance this? And what is the most sustainable way to really make the things happen? So this is where quality management system plays a very important role in the automotive sector. Now, if I have to, I mean, from whatever the experts have said so far, the four mega trends that are driving the automotive industry as of now. First is undoubtedly the continuous market growth. Second one is increasing regulatory pressure. Third one is shift to the emerging countries, and fourth one is the disruptive changes in the technology that is coming up in the auto sector. With these mega trends, the major challenges that the auto industry as a whole, which is facing, is, of course, I mean, I'm not talking about COVID-19 situations here because that is global, but specifically to Indian automotive industry, the challenges what we are facing as of now is, of course, first is the alternative propulsion. Second one is digitization, which is coming into the auto industry. The smart car solutions or smart vehicles, I would say. Fourth one, which is really important, is mobility as a service. So this is what is the Indian automotive industry has to do. Now, for this value chain transformation, we have to develop new technology, integrate new skills, and transform the supply chain. All this has to be done by gaining and maintaining trust of the end customer, like Mr. Pauzi said. Also, I mean, for the tier 1s and tier 2 is very important to gain and maintain the trust of the OEMs. This is where the quality management system is absolutely fundamental. So I would say if we have to really brainstorm what actually we are looking from quality management system. Is it only the compliance that we are looking for? Is it only certificate that the compliance certificate that the tier 1s or tier 2s look at? I would say no. Basically, the aim for having a very good quality management system has to be continual improvement. Continual improvement is the basic for to have a sustainable way to grow and sustain. This continual improvement is, coupled together with defect prevention, reduction of variation waste across the supply chain. So now here, defect prevention is really very important. In typically so far in Indian automotive industry, the focus has been whenever there is a defect to take a corrective action and go further. But then the industry, right from designing to the manufacturing and to the service, has to look at defect prevention, which is really important. And quality management system, now the practices which are being followed globally is, like Mr. Rajshekharan said, IATF 16949 is one of the very strong quality management systems which are followed. Just to give you an overview quickly on the IATF certification, globally there are 78,000 companies certified to IATF 16949. If we talk about Indian auto industry, 5,800 companies so far are certified to the automotive quality management system standard. The growth of certification in India is a kind of flat curve. I mean, if we look at the last 10 years. This is not the way in China. In China, the growth of the certification has been exponential. This means that in Indian automotive industry, the penetration, the need of the quality management system establishment and ensuring the certification has to be penetrated down till to the level to the tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4. This is not only getting the certification is not only the criteria. When we are talking about the quality management system, we have to also look at the maturity level of the quality management system. So if we all know that quality management system maturity, right from initial to the most optimized level, having Bureaucratas is doing assessments across the OEMs and the tier 1 till tier 4s. I would say the quality system maturity is still maybe at the initial or the managed state, that is at the medium level. Very few companies are at the most optimized level, meaning that they are really seeking the benefit of a very good quality management system. So this has to improve. Now, improvement in terms of having better quality at a better price. Now, this is where actually the automotive industry globally follows the tools like the lean manufacturing techniques, or the statistical process controls, or the failure mode effect analysis. So these all techniques, in India, we see that, okay, these are followed. Definitely at OEMs and some of the tier ones are at the optimized level. But like Mr. Rajsekhar said, for the tier 2s or down the supply chain, still they are compliance centric. So how to get a value out of it really need to be focused, and it is up to the OEMs and the tier 1s to really push the tier 2s and tier 3s suppliers to bring in this cultural change. This is where the cultural change has to happen. Like initially I said, the focus has been on preventing the recurrence of the problems or the defects. That focus has to change from preventing recurrence to preventing occurrence. And this can happen, this has to start right from the design stage. So design for manufacturing, design for assembly, wherein the error proofings are inbuilt within the product, or error proofing is inbuilt within the process design techniques has to be built in, and the culture of completely preventing the occurrence at the first stage itself of the defect has to be imbibed. Now what is happening is, now typically, just to quickly give an example, I'll not
I will close it quickly because we have very little time for Q&A, which is very important.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So I will try to finish within the next 2-3 minutes. So now the challenges that what we are looking into having a very good quality management systems are, first is like the OEMs customer specific requirements, which couple together with the automotive standard specifications like ITF 16949 has to be very well precisely defined. This is actually, I'm talking about from the Indian context. And from the suppliers context, the top management commitment has to ensure a very good system is in place. To really follow the quality management system at the intent what actually it is required to be done. Now, to do this, I would like to conclude with my 2 proposals. One is maybe there is an assessment of quality management system which is done as per maybe ITF 16949 or the ISO standards. Maybe we can think of having a gold, bronze, or a silver rating additionally by QCI. And this can be completely based on the maturity of the quality management system, and the subsidies, tax benefits, or the incentives can be coupled with the rating what the suppliers maintain in achieving the quality management system. And secondly, as of now, the quality management systems are completely focused on manufacturing. We still don't have much focus on servicing, maintenance, repair, transportation. In short, mobility as a solution on a whole. So there only ISO 9001 there. So maybe on focusing on this sector, if we can have some more specific quality management system standards, it will really help Indian auto industry as a whole to improve. This is all from my side. I really thank you for giving this opportunity, and I pass on the thing to Mr. Simulation.
Thank you very much, Jaydeep. If you can introduce a goal for bronze rating and introduce an incentive system, it can push, and also focus on tier 2 and tier 3 for involvement. third is on the service sector. Thank you. Now, the summarization, as the analysts discussed, we did then and there. Because of short of time, I am not putting them together to explain it once again. We will straight away go into questions. First question is to Mr. Sridhar. They are saying that you expressed about establishing Center of Excellence in Quality. There are already many bodies, professional institutions for quality in India. In what way will this Center of Excellence be different? That's a question.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. See, when I said the Center of Excellence, today we have got many bodies, but each of the bodies, they focus on different aspects. And the main point of this Excellence Center will be that how to bring in, if a tier 2 company, tier 1 company, if they would like to learn from a body as to which are the best practices which are available today in quality, and if they would like to implement quality systems which will enhance the or improve the quality of the organization. So those it's very difficult today for a company to go to a particular place. So from that point of view, in fact, I said that if we have a center of excellence which is actually driven centrally, then maybe OEMs can come and share their quality systems and their good points. So once the best practices are imbibed, so this can be horizontally shared with all the companies who desire to improve their quality system. So that was one thing. And second thing is, this center of excellence can cover all the areas, not only this one, right from designing till to production, manufacturing, that is the process, and also packing, logistics, transportation, everything it can cover, including service. So it's a good place. It's a place where we can have a lot of material, and from there we can actually disseminate this type of information and help companies to improve the quality.
Thank you, Sridhar. Now, next question is the pace of industrial automation and sectoral growth. Connected with this, what are the challenges in implementing automation in the automotive auto component sector? I think Mr. Dattatreya can address this question. Yeah, are you happy with the pace? And also, what challenges are there? How do we address them to accelerate the process of automation, smart implementation? Mr. Dattatreya, you are on mute.
So today there are two types of challenges. The equipments which are on the shop floor, they are of different ages. And so I think that is one big challenge. So we have most sophisticated CNCs on the same side when there are regular lathe machines also are operating. So one challenge which we are seeing is from a data standpoint, this is one area and which need to be handled or resolved very systematically. And so that is one big challenge. Knowledge about of people who can manage these both sides is another. So both capability of people and the equipments which we have, and we can't run away from legacy machines. We have to work with them. So, and that is where we are quite focused just now, how to transform a brownfield factories. So these two are critical challenges.
Thank you. Now, another question which is general in nature is any clarity on scrappage policy of old vehicle? Will it improve the auto sector business? I can this question. The scheme is already announced. This is more of a voluntary in nature. For commercial vehicle, after 15 years of service, the vehicles have to come for fitness certifications more often. So this is a deterrent for running the old vehicles. For passenger cars, it is after 20 years, every year the vehicle has to come for fitness certification, and the fitness evaluation will be stricter and fees will be higher. So this is like leaving to the team or the people to decide on this one. Not there is no enforcement or there is no incentive for scrappage at this point of time. So while we can expect that the commercial vehicle which has more than 15 years, looking at the inconvenience of going for fitness certificate every 6 months and revamping the vehicle completely, many of them can go for the same. But as it is, number of vehicles above 15 years in commercial vehicle will be very less. Of course, passenger cars, it's a once in year exercise. So at this point of time, this will not have a very major impact, while it will have a positive impact in pollution reduction. That's a point. I think we have completely run out of time. I thank the entire panel members. You have all prepared so well. You have poured in your years of experience and brought out very valid points. I'm sure QCI will work together. We can all pitch in to consolidate what are the action plans emerging out of it. I will share my notes with them. You can also, each one of you can put in the WhatsApp like future actionable point, 1 point or 2 points max. At the max, if there are very compelling points, you can put 3 points which can be done. We will compile them together and classify them into what actions industries can take, what action government can take. So then we will submit to the government of India for processing it further. Thank you very much. Wonderful session. I really enjoyed interacting with you. Kaveri, you would like to add anything?
Yes, sir. This is Shivangi from Quality Council of India. On behalf of QCI, I would like to thank Mr. Shivanation sir for moderating the session so well and bringing out excellent recommendations. As he had pointed earlier in the session, automotive is a very important sector which has been consistently performing well. But there are challenges that needs to be overcome. All speaker panelists shared diverse and brilliant ideas on how that can happen. All the inputs and recommendations that have been shared will be incorporated by us in the sectoral compendium of recommendations and will be shared with Government of India. We will reach out to you again for inputs, and we are very thankful to Line Ministry, Department of Heavy Industry, for setting the context of the session and sharing valuable insights on the sectoral overview and government initiatives. We would also like to thank DPIIT and all organizing partners for helping us. We are grateful to all the participants for joining the session. I will now declare the session closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you.